Next one, please.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Justice Khanna is replacing the outgoing CJI D.Y. Chandrachud and has a storied career spanning cases concerning constitutional law, taxation, arbitration, commercial law and environmental law. As judge of the Apex Court, Chief Justice Khanna has been part of several landmark judgments, including upholding the sanctity of the electoral voting machines and the abrogation of Article 370 that gave Jammu and Kashmir special status. He was part of the bench that declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional. He was also part of the recent majority ruling in the Aligarh Muslim University minority status determination case. Justice Sanjiv Khanna in July 2024 had granted interim bail to former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal while he was embroiled in a case under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, citing that there was no clarity of whether there was a need to arrest Arvind Kejriwal. Now, while he did not rule on the legality of the PMLA charge itself, he did bring up the important question of whether there were additional grounds for the arrest and if they were justified. Some of the notable judgments of Justice Khanna in the Supreme Court include the upholding the use of the EVMs in elections, saying the devices were secure and eliminated booth capturing and bogus voting. Now, in the EVM VVPAT cross-verification case, he addressed public outrage in April 2024 by rejecting the petitions against the use of EVMs in the Lok Sabha elections. Instead of recommending a return to paper ballots, Justice Khanna directed the Election Commission to issue slips with party symbols or barcodes after each vote, enhancing the transparency in counting procedures. His judgment came amidst massive outrage around EVMs and debate around their use and misuse. Now, in February 2024, Justice Khanna, as part of a 5-judge bench, declared the controversial electoral bond scheme unconstitutional due to the concerns around the transparency of donors and the potential for corrupt practices. Justice Khanna also played a key role in the landmark 2023 decision by a 5-judge bench that upheld the abrogation of Article 370, which had granted special status to Jammu and Kashmir. He was of strong opinion that stripping away the special status of Jammu and Kashmir would not endanger the principles of India's federal structure. In an influential decision that reaffirmed the coexistence of judicial independence and transparency in 2019, he contributed to a ruling that stated that the office of the Chief Justice of India could be subject to information under the Right of Information Act. Now, while we have spoken about a series of these judgments where Justice Khanna played an integral part, Advocate R.K. Singh, there is also this very emotional anecdote that is going viral about Justice Khanna and how he has an ancestral, or he had an ancestral home in Amritsar, and he decides to visit there every year, although it had been sold several years ago, and it holds a special meaning and is sentimental to him and his family. If you could shed more light onto it.
Yes, I have gone through that report that is circulating in media also, that he has got an ancestral home in somewhere in Punjab, Amritsar.
Yes.
And in 1970, that house was sold. His grandfather purchased that house, one house in Amritsar and that another house in Dalhousie. That Dalhousie house is still with him. And in 1970, that house was sold to someone. And Justice Khanna went there when he was 5, at the age of 5, with his father, Justice Devraj Khanna Sahab. And thereafter, since then, he has been searching and locating that ancestral house because that entire contours, that entire demography of that area has changed. So that searching of that house, make I understand one thing, it is sort of a pilgrimage for a person who is searching the identity of his soul. It has got such a sentimental value we can all understand, because when we try to search for our roots, these roots are not ordinary for rest of the world. It can maybe anything else, but for us, for those who are searching for their roots, for the identity of that root becomes somehow ingrained to your second reflection of your identity. And just like a normal human being, absolutely a normal human being, Justice Khanna is we must not forget that he has been a High Court judge and a Supreme Court, now he is the Chief Justice of India. He could have easily asked any government to do these things for him. and the government would have been more than willing to oblige him for that matter.
Yeah.
But here is a person. Here is a person who is so humble, so private, that he has taken this search as his gospel right and duty, without making any fuss of all these things. So that speaks volumes about his emotional quotient, the practicality, the reality, humbleness. Another thing which is also coming up in media, that he has to stop his mandatory 10 kilometer walk every day. Because prior to becoming Chief Justice of India, he was in a habit of going to Lodi Garden and having his walk. But now, since security protocols are there, he will not be allowed to go without security person.
Right, absolutely.
So
yeah.
now he has said that no, I'll not go. Rather, I'll do the required jogging in my bungalow itself. Another thing which is also coming up, that speaks still the volume about that person, that Justice Khanna is not going to shift into the new residence of Chief Justice of India. That is what I have read somewhere today,
Yeah.
that he is going to stay in his old house only. So this paraphernalia of government luggage, baggage and glory, Justice Khanna is far away from all these things. He is a saintly judge, a rightful legate of Justice H.R., legendary Justice H.R. Khanna. We haven't seen Justice H.R. Khanna, but I'm sure those generations, those ethics of those generations, those lawyers, those judges, he is a true representative of that ethic.
Right, absolutely. And you did speak about, and so did Advocate